All right. Hello. Welcome everyone back to a Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Drinko happy hour show. We got my friend Jose, mi amigo Jose. We got Freddy Quotes over here. How you doing, man?
Good, brother. How are you? Got some sangria. My mom made some sangria. It's got Fireball and bourbon and wine.
What?
And dude, it's legit.
I need
it's
that
really
recipe.
good. I'll send it to you, man. It's super good.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah, my parents are up there pouring drinks for everyone, and Hexagon 720 was just down here in the green room saying what's up to you guys. We got Axis coming over tonight. We got a party. There's about 30 kids in the other side of the basement. So if you guys hear screaming, I apologize.
All good, man. All good. Well, welcome. I wanted to get you on here because I know you're highly interested and in this guy down here, not this guy, but what he represents and the some
PowerCity, hell
an
yeah.
ecosystem called a little thing called PowerCity that's coming up with the release of PulseChain. Whenever we get it, ETH is REKT. But anyway, just ask Jesse. How you doing, man?
Good. ETH is REKT. I saw somebody say that it was going to cost them 12 ETH to end their stake. 12 ETH.
Wow. I have not seen that one, but I was taking screenshots all day.
I saw Cabana. What you got it to like 1,300 trying to end an OG
stake? 17, so almost 1 ETH.
Damn.
I nabbed that screenshot. I don't even know what Gwei is right now. Anybody post the Gwei in the chat. We'll do a you guys can claim, whoever wants to claim that can do that. Be the MILF Tony of Gwei today. And then
who will win the most REKT on gas?
Oh my gosh. Well, somebody an hour ago EES'd $1 million hex stake. So not only did they blow themselves up, just about, I mean, they got some reward, I guess. They also got REKT in the fees. So it's like, I don't even want to look. Somebody can probably post that in the chat, but what a way to end it. We're at 151.
154. Good Lord.
Oh, it was 300 this afternoon.
Oh,
it was absolutely crazy. So, but yeah, everybody, it is Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Drinko. This is the happy hour show, so let's start it off. We'll do a toast at 5:55, so get your drinks ready around then. But brought my friend Jose with me, so let's do a little kickoff shot here.
Aye!
Ole, and let's have a fun show. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Motley said 12 ETH sounds like a glitch. It really
Definitely
does.
Let's see if
that'd be like 3,000 Gwei or something like that. So. But who knows?
God, that's so
159
high, 155.
It looks like we have been raided.
Got raided. Yeah, I saw the emojis.
That's right. When you see the DJ Nom Nom emoji,
Sir Squid's a lot.
Flood
says it's 12 ETH. So if you're out there listening, let's see that screenshot.
Yeah, I want a screenshot of that because I thought I'd caught like the top at 1,700 to end a stake, and these are like legacy stakes, but I mean, more than 1,000 days, well more than 1,000 days. But anyway, want to say hi in the chat before we get too far into this. What is up, DJ and Dougie, Elliot, Crypto Cause, the Swelcy, Lights Out. Yes, Hola Senoritas in the thumbnail. Yeah, I did a fun Cinco de Drinko, Cinco de Mayo search, and that's what I came up with. Jonathan, Xander Duck, what is going on, everybody? Crypto Surfer, Hex Glenn, happy Cinco de Drinko to you. My man, my fees on yes, Chris, I bet that was you, sir. Oh man, I'm still grainy. Oh my gosh, I gotta fix my upload, so I'm gonna check that out. I'm just gonna have to go back. I need to fix my internets. I'll just take my face off. That'll make some of y'all happy. But Crypto Stylist, what is going on?
Yeah.
Mustafa Fami, what's going on? KD, what's going on? What is going on, everybody? All right.
I didn't think your picture was that bad. I mean, it was a little like patchy here and there, but
on YouTube it sucks. So I don't know what the deal is, and StreamYard is fine, but
Yeah.
I got some sort of upload internet issue I got to fix. But evidently, because it's been like that the past couple streams, and I don't know what it is. Haven't had time to check. But anyway, so got a few things to talk about. We got Jesse here, like I said, and we have Freddie here for a little bit, and we're not going to have too long of a show tonight, but this whole PowerCity ecosystem kind of thing. I mean, if like there were a price chart for the SAC phase, you would want to be long that chart. Looking at the SAC phase chart, I mean, it's just completely up and to the right over the past weeks, I guess, if that. So once people have started to understand what the ecosystem is about, pieces coming together, PortalX, and I'm sure a few other parts of it that Jesse's going to talk about here. It's coming together for people, and those who sacrificed really early on, got an outstanding rate, but at the same time they took the biggest risks. So I think I heard Kinetic say that when he was talking to you, Jesse, the other night.
Yeah, so it pretty much went like this. Early on in the beginning, PowerCity was like, "Hey y'all, we're gonna build 6 things, and here's what they are." And everyone was like, you can't build 6 things. And they, so the people early on who took the biggest risk, which isn't even a whole lot of people, they got a 2-to-1 rate. Everybody from that point forward has always been on a 1-to-1 level playing field. So don't feel like you missed out or anything.
Yeah, I mean, judging by just looking at the chart, I think you can find it on a couple places. Maybe there is PowerCity have one. I just for quick reference, do the Hex Pulse info or whatever it is. But
actually, one better than that, right? So if you just go to sacrificenow.io, you'll see how to sacrifice, but you can also go down at the bottom, paste your wallet address, and there's an official sacrifice tracker right there. It'll tell you all the all the sends you've done, the bonuses that are applied to each one of them.
Nice.
And it's built right in.
Nice. Have some fans in here of PowerCity. Lots of fans of PowerCity. What's up, Susie Q? Crypto Stylist. Always smart. So she's on top of the PowerCity thing. Brizology. Then we have Briz. I remember being drunk one night and PowerCity offering a bonus if I sacked a PLS and PLSX. So I said F it and sent some money in. Glad I did. Good for you, man. Good for you. So I guess we can just start quickly, I guess, from the beginning, because people, perhaps haven't really touched their SAC, or give them a refresher, from the initial days that you were talking about. It's like, oh, we're going to build 6 things. Where are we at now? I guess, what was the PowerCity vision? And I know there's a lot to cover because there's a lot of different parts to it, but if you can cover that, I guess, rather briefly, and then we can get into some more specifics. And I see some of the questions in the chat, so please post them. I'm bookmarking them, and we're going to ask Jesse all of them. But yeah, Jesse, if you could explain this a little bit, and that's why I got Freddie here too. If he has any questions, I think it'd be a good discussion.
Yeah, so real early on, the PowerCity team decided tools and services, things that people use on ETH that people will also want to use on PulseChain. We've got to build those things. Then the conversation came up, well, how does the community earn all the fees from those things? Because you could go over to an aggregator, for example, on ETH or any other blockchain, and you'll pay a fee. And that fee is going to go 100% to like the founding team. Or you'll use some other sort of platform, and you'll pay fees, and like, who gets them, right? The teams do. We said, let's build a system that draws value into PulseChain. A few of the products can launch on other chains. So like, we'll talk about that with our aggregator. It's on 63 blockchains. And how do we get that thing to bring value into PulseChain, and then feed that value right back into the community's hands, right? So they can buy the things that they want to buy, Hex, Pulse, PulseX, whatever it is they want. That vision kind of evolved in its design over, the first year or so. And the delay of PulseChain has been actually really good for the team to be able to perfect the design and also see what fails and what doesn't fail, right? So if you look at the staking mechanisms in Olympus DAO or in Strong or in some other, like a lot of the failed stuff over on ETH, or gas coin, not gas coins, but tax coins and stuff. You see, you literally see everything failing around you, and you can say, well, we need to do it differently. And you start to draw cues out of Hex. You start to draw cues out of PulseX and some things Richard's doing. And then you design this ecosystem that the community has the tools that they need, and they reap the rewards from people using that. And it really is turned into an awesome ecosystem, which we'll cover.
Outstanding. So I guess where would one begin? Because I guess you have NFTs and you got amps and watts and urns and where would you like to begin?
Say you didn't sack. And then say you just show up day one, Pulse launches, and you've got 100 million Pulse to do something with. What would someone do? How would someone get started doing that?
Yep. So first, let's do this a little bit backwards. Let's talk about our fully launched on Mainnet product, which is PortalX. It's way bigger than people think, right? I think people really need to understand what that tool is. And then we'll talk a little bit about Earn, and then we'll talk about the core. And the core is super exciting. It's all exciting. All right. Before I begin, though,
I was gonna say, I think people always ask me like, okay, well, how does this benefit Hex, or how does this benefit PulseChain, or how does this benefit PulseX? I mean, this ties directly into, like, you should be pumped for this. So
yes. So before I explain the aggregator, there is a platform called the core.powercity.io. It's on Testnet v4. That's where you can stake and earn the fees from all our things. Okay, so just remember that. The core is where you can stake and earn the fees from all our things. And there's some really cool game theory in that. Now, what are those things? Well, first and foremost, PortalXSwap.io. It is live on 63 blockchains. It's an aggregator. Okay, it's not a bridge, although it facilitates bridging by finding bridges, finding dexes, finding pools, pairs, and finding you the best trade route for your trade. So let's say you have a coin on any chain, any one of these 63 chains, okay? You put it in, and you pick the chain that you want to go to. Maybe that's the same chain. Maybe you just want to stay on the same chain. You pick the coin that you want to get into. It will search. It'll sit there and search for 5 to 10 seconds, and it'll give you a list of all the available trade routes. Uniswap, 1inch, this pool, that pool, this swap, that swap, and it'll display to you the best rate at the top. It'll also show all the various gas fees for each one of those trade routes. So it does the hard work for you, because the best rate is not always just going straight to Uniswap or going straight to Matcha or going straight here or there. And when you're on some of these obscure chains or these little side chains like AVAX, Phantom Chain, Binance Smart Chain, it even gets more complex, because you don't even know where the pools are. And half the time you don't even know what DEX is the one everyone's using at that current time. You're like, oh, what's the name of that DEX over on AVAX chain? I can't remember it. So if you just say PortalXSwap.io right in your browser, it literally connects into all these different chains. And no matter which one you're on, you put in the token, it'll read your wallet, put in the token you want to swap into, the token you want to swap out of. It'll search, show you all the various trade routes. You select the one with the best rate if that's the one you want. Click it, and you're interacting directly with those contracts. We don't have your coins. It's still your keys, your coins. It's as if you went straight to that platform. Okay. Now, some people would argue, well, why don't I just use your service and then hop out of that and then go over and pay, go straight to that and not pay an additional fee. Well, you can. You're just making extra work for yourself. And look, the fee's only $1, same chain, $2 if you're going to go through into a different chain, plus 0.1%. And that is really, really comparable to some other aggregators, and actually better than lots of them. Some bridges will cost you $10 or $20 to swap. So just keep that in mind. Now,
And what's the name of this?
PortalX.
PortalX. Okay.
And you can, since you have it up here, if you could just pull it up and show people what it looks like. Right there on the second block. You should be able to launch that dApp.
And what's this website?
Oh, sorry. It went to another tab. I was like, why is it not showing? Okay. Let me get the other tab up.
What's the name of that website, Jesse?
PortalXSwap.io. So you'll see, and I don't think you're connected. You don't have to or dox yourself or anything. But if you select a token, look, there's a list of chains on the left-hand side. You can expand that. Scroll down a little bit. On the left-hand side, you should be able to expand that, and it should show you like 63 different options.
Maybe I have to be logged in because
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah.
Mine says plus 54, but there's some
Yeah,
on
so
the screen
there's
already.
63 total because some of them are displayed already on the left-hand side.
Yep.
All right, and then you just type the name of your token, or paste the contract.
Wow.
And then do the same for where you want to go.
This is crazy.
It will show you the best trade route or a list of trade routes. You select the one you want. Click it. You're interacting directly with those contracts. Now, there's some cool things as to like why this is even safer than going directly through a bridge. So this thing will output the token you want on the chain you're trying to go to. So instead of just going through a bridge with one token and then wrapping it into a bridge and being given a wrap token on the other side, and then you assume all the risk if that bridge was to get hacked because you're holding a wrap thing. And if that bridge got hacked, your wrap thing's no longer redeemable. There's risk there. Well, our thing, you get to select the token that you want on the other side, and you're not left holding a risky wrap thing. Unless you want to be, unless that's what you selected. Okay. So this thing will go through any one of these bridges and swap into the thing that you actually want on the other chain, leaving you with the least amount of risk. Now, there's fees to do all this. The fees are extremely reasonable, but the fees all flow from all of these chains straight into PulseChain, essentially buying Pulse. So it's a constant buy pressure for Pulse.
Hey now.
There's a side effect of that, of the buy and burn on PulseX as well. Okay. And it takes that Pulse and it distributes it to the stakers in the core. So it's constant buy pressure. Binance people can be using this, all the degens over there, the people on AVAX, Matic Chain, wherever they are. It's a really cool service that's really easy to use, finds them the best rates. They pay the normal fee that they would, a fee, just like you would any other aggregator. But those fees flow straight into PulseChain, continuously and forever buying Pulse, and then distributing that out to the stakers. Okay? So that's super exciting. And a lot of people
Corey
miss that piece, right? So what else does this have? So we understand the value of security. A lot of people know what revoke.cash is. We have those contracts built right in. So if you see revoke approval there, and you click that as if your wallet was connected. It'll scan your wallet, tell you all your open permissions. You'll be able to revoke each one of those so that no DApp has permissions into your wallet, right? Built right in. So, safe practice would be if you're going to do a swap of some sort, of course, you have to open a permission. Only open it up for the amount you're going to swap. But if for some reason you have a huge open permission, check your wallet from time to time. Just click the button here, revoke all the permissions out of your wallet. All right, keep yourself safe.
Keep it clean.
I have a question real quick.
Yep.
So you said that when you use this PortalX, which is the interchain swap, like all the fees that are taken in, do all of the fees go to buying Pulse? Do any go to like the founders or developers or whatever? Like, is there a cut taken there, or do all of the fees go to buy Pulse for core?
All the fees flow into PulseChain.
Okay.
And 66% of the fees flow to the core.
Damn.
33% of the fees flow elsewhere.
That's big.
All right. The team has no tokens of Watt. But as I said, 33% of the fees flow elsewhere.
Okay. That's good. Real quick, one of the things that I saw on here, when you were choosing the token, like the shields give like security updates about each of the contracts, saying
Correct.
Token code contains some high risk elements of concern. Be careful if you're going to use this joker. This is dope,
Absolutely.
man. This is very well put together. This in and of itself is game changing.
Now, we're not done here. There's limit orders. So if you X out of that, and I think you have to be connected to see those.
Gotcha.
Limit orders right there in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. You can set your limit orders. There you go. Bam. It's actually using the 1-inch contracts directly. So it's got 1-inch contracts built right in. You could set a limit order here, hop over to 1-inch, see the same limit order you just created over here, right? So it's kind of a 1-inch front end in that regard.
DJ Cryptomatic.
But wait, there's more.
Now, all this is made possible with our partners over at Rubik and Multi-Chain. Multi-Chain is the largest bridging service in crypto. They used to be called AnySwap. Now they're called Multi-Chain. We're running a series of MPC or MPN nodes for them. They will be integrating into PulseChain after PulseChain goes live. Rubik will be integrating their contracts into all the various pools on PulseChain. And then you'll see our front end update, and you'll see PulseChain as one of the available chains. We'll plan it right at the top. Is Hex at the top yet? If you go to swaps, do you see Hex at the very top?
So
maybe not.
When I clicked on token, it was one of the top like few, but it's below.
Okay, it's got ETH at the top. All right. So that's PortalX swap. Okay, it is the easiest, most user-friendly way to find a good route, a good trade.
Forgive my ignorance on the matter, but is this the only interchain swap that's out there?
No, there's others. So you could go to Rubik directly. They have a front end as well. However, the fees are going to be the same, and the fees will not be flowing to PulseChain. Okay, so there's a big difference there.
Yeah, big time.
And that's huge for community, just talking fees. And, on these other protocols, they go to founders and Lord knows where. And this is just an an awesome concept. I know the Fiat guy, first famous guys, you know, Fiat.io, they're doing stuff as well. So this is the best community in crypto. I mean, it just proves itself over and over and over. And I know Buck is just thrilled that you guys are doing this, because and so should many other people that are big into Hex PulseChain. This just gets more eyes on the PulseChain ecosystem. I mean, you're getting 63 chains, and with the possibility of being like, oh, what's this other blockchain, or what's this Hex thing that is on a huge pump right now. So yeah, outstanding. We have a bunch of questions, Jesse. If
somebody asked, I do want to answer this one real quick because it's
okay. Because I have them all bookmarked. Which one do you want to take first?
Somebody says you can't use 1 inch in the United States. Is PortalX usable? So, super interesting story. 1 inch is usable in the United States. You can interact directly with the contracts, or you can have your own front end, and you can interact directly with those contracts. They turned off their front end. How do I word this? Well, they then did a raise, hundreds of millions of dollars, to spool up a new version, United States friendly, that interacts with the same smart contracts. Okay, so take that how you want. Great protocol, but maybe they needed a reason to raise some more capital. Nobody's barred from using it. It's not illegal. It's not unethical. It is an aggregator. It also searches the blockchains just to find you the best route for your trade. There's nothing illegal or banned about it. But they decided to just turn off their front end. They did a raise, and they're building another front end. So take that how you want. The contracts are completely usable.
And there you go. I'm going to try to do these in order because I think they're all applicable to what we're talking about right now with PortalX. Hi guys, will PortalX be running before the official RH bridge?
PortalX is running now. It's on 63 chains. It will not be running on PulseChain before Richard's bridge because it has to aggregate the things on PulseChain, right? So once we add PulseChain in, it's going to search through all the automated market makers and stuff on PulseChain, to include PulseX and the PulseRamp bridge. And then those will be added, right? So it can't exist on PulseChain before PulseChain stuff exists, but it does exist everywhere else.
Next question from HexForce1. So this will make it possible to swap Pulse for ETH? Question mark.
Absolutely. Yep.
Next, FOMO.
Or
whoa. Go ahead.
Or
ETH for Pulse.
Yeah. Or Pulse for anything else on 64 different blocks. You want Bitcoin, you want AVAX because it's like dirt cheap and you can go straight to an exchange for like
this is crazy.
So instead of off-ramping through to ETH and then paying those stupid gas fees we're saying now and then sending to Coinbase and like just being raped on hundreds of dollars worth of fees, you just hop through PortalX over to like AVAX or Phantom Chain or something and then zip that coin straight back to Coinbase and you just off-ramp for like $1 or $2.
All right, next up, where was I at? Phomophobic asks, can I put all these different coins from different chains into my MetaMask wallet?
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
Just going to have to flip your
except
chain.
For the weird, except for the non-EVM chains. So you can literally get into Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin doesn't work on MetaMask, right? If you were to swap into a non-EVM coin, like by the way, Monero, right? You want to do some privacy things, you can hop from Hex straight into Monero, send that Monero from a Monero wallet to another Monero wallet, and then jump on PortalX and swap it back into ETH, and you just anonymize yourself, right? So, but if you're gonna do stuff like that, when you do the swap, it requires you to paste the address that you want those tokens to show up.
Let's see here. I'm bookmarking questions as we speak because they are flying in right now. All right. Crypto Stylist asks, can you trade within the same chain to use instead of Uniswap?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to show you all the trade routes. Uniswap may be one of those trade routes. So it's an aggregator. You're not using this to swap. You're using this to find you the best rate.
Alrighty, and let's see here.
Can I add one real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Because
I've seen a couple people say it. Is there a way to get Watt if you didn't sacrifice, or is the sacrifice still open?
You can sacrifice, but I don't know what you might get. Jesse can probably.
Was it set up the same way as like a PulseX sacrifice to where diminishing returns over time for the sac?
So we'll get into the core soon, but sacrifice is live. How do I?
If someone wanted to put $1,000 in today, would it be worth it, or should they wait until the launch to try to get some? Can you make a suggestion one way or the other?
Everyone has to make their own personal decision. Here's what I'll say. Watt will have a fixed supply at launch. That entire supply will be claimable to a set of addresses that we like, except what's found in the liquidity pool. There's no additional supply. Founders don't have any.
What's it capped at? Is there a cap?
Well, it's just proportional, right?
Got you.
We haven't released the supply number, but it's a little bit irrelevant. It's just, what are people's proportions? What's their slice of the pie? You could literally, by the way, launch a protocol with one single token, and this guy gets 50% of that one single token. This guy gets 1%. This guy gets whatever, and it all still works out in the end. It's just a decimal point game. All right, we're not going to do that with one token, but people always ask, what's the total supply? The total supply will be in the possession of a set of addresses that is liked, that is aligned their beliefs.
There you go. There's the answer to that one. AK, what does 10,000x points stand for? 1 to 10,000x for Watt and earn? I think I know the answer is no, but if you could.
10,000 strength points. That represents the strength of your sacrifice. Those points are never advertised as being for Watt or earn. Watt and earn will exist as tokens on the blockchain, but I can't tell you that 10,000 points will get you like 10,000 Watt. I can't say that.
Yeah.
And there is a determined supply of earn. Am I correct in saying that?
There is. So it's the same as what Liquidity did.
Okay. There you go.
100 million.
Yep. Can I get Watt? Asks DGen Dougie. Can I get Watt if I did not sacrifice?
Sure. Once a liquidity pool is made, you can buy. Sure. I can't say that you'll be able to get your hands on the quantity that peers around you might have, but sure.
I mean, maybe sacrificing might not be the worst idea. That's just me putting a thought out there. I don't know. Will PortalX ask Archipelago, will PortalX be integrating with Coast for a Fiat on-off ramp?
I can't answer that, right? Once, I mean, we're always looking at other protocols and we're waiting for SDKs and such to be released. Look at their code base, look at other teams' audits and stuff. We do like to use existing protocols that work. So like PortalX is a good example of that. It's got Rubik built into it. It's got 1inch built into it. It's got revoke.cash built into it. It's like all that stuff is like, oh, these are great products that are already working. Let's put them all into one interface. Who's to say we don't do that with another protocol that's on PulseChain? Yeah, I don't see why not. If the math works out, if the contracts are safe, so on and so forth, we'll examine it.
And lastly, on this topic, Sandy B, the dude, good to see you as always. If this is not a bridge, how is PortalX connected to other chains? And is it trustless, or is the team running the, in quotes, of like bridges doxed? Sorry if I misunderstood the quote, not a bridge, end quote, comment.
Yeah, we are 100% not a bridge. It is completely trustless. You are interacting directly with the bridge or the DEX that you choose. When this gives you a list of trade routes, you'll see, oh, this bridge or that bridge or this bridge or that one or this AMM or that. And you're interacting directly with those bridges, not with us.
Boom. And I think this is the last one. AK, can't PortalX build a bridge before Pulse Ramp goes live?
Technically, yes, with multi-chain, but we won't.
And Jay snuck another one in here. Question, what is the best Monero wallet to connect to PortalX?
So once you hop into Monero, you're going to have to go use a Monero wallet to pull up your coins. And your Monero wallet itself will not connect back into PortalX.
Cheetah Western, so bullish and going to help with mass adoption. Ease of access and UI is everything. Well said. Well said. And I think that gets us to that round of questions on PortalX. Where did you want to go next, Jesse?
So let's cover Earn. I believe that
the big mystery.
I believe the majority of the community kind of understands Liquidity by now, maybe.
I think, yeah, I guess, with the liquid loans,
liquid loans
being out there, and yeah, if you understand that, then you kind of understand Liquidity.
If you understand liquid loans or Liquidity, you understand Earn. All right. So Earn, just another couple days. We've run the testing through the ringer, and every possible black swan we can think of. We got a huge laundry list of things that we went through to test. Everything's working great. So I think we'll release the URL for everyone to play with it on V4 here really soon in the next couple days. Now, what is Earn? It's a stablecoin lending protocol where you mint your own stablecoins off of your own value in PulseX. You can put those stablecoins into the stability pool to earn share of any liquidated PulseX. You get it at a discount, like a 10% discount off of the current price whenever there's a liquidation. You also collect a sum of Earn tokens, right, through the emission of Earn tokens, which emits a lot like Bitcoin, actually, in the way it halves every year. The emission rate slows down or goes through a halving process year after year. And then you can take those Earn tokens, just claim them as often as you want, and put them into the staking pool for the fees. Whenever somebody takes a loan, they're minting PXDC. You get some of that PXDC by being a staker. Whenever somebody does a redemption, which is the thing that keeps the stables stable. I love talking about redemptions. We don't have to talk about it today, but at all times, one PXDC is always redeemable for $1 worth of PulseX. You can just click a button and bam, you got $1 worth of PulseX for them. Okay. But regardless, whenever people do that and you're sitting over there as a staker in the earn token, you're collecting PulseX, right? So you're earning stable coins, you're earning PulseX just for being a staker. If you're in the stability pool, staking in there, you're earning earn tokens that you can put into that staking pool. So it's a really cool closed loop ecosystem. The minimum mint size, minimum required loan size is 500 PXDC. That allows people to safely collateralize themselves more easily than maybe over on Liquidity. And it's completely safe, right? So the gas fees on ETH are so stupid right now. If Liquidity had like a $500 minimum mint size, and there happened to be a lot of $500, $600, $700 vaults or debt positions at the lowest collateral health, all stacked up. If somebody was to do a redemption over there, the gas cost to do that redemption could have to redeem against like 10 or 20, 30, 40 vaults. And that the same reason Hex gas fees get stupid with that S load function, well, kind of the same in Liquidity. It has to do a bunch of math to add up all those. It's just gas intensive to go through all those vaults and redeem against all these different vaults. So a $500 minimum over on ETH is stupid because it makes it too hard to do redemptions when the gas is high. But on PulseChain, with gas costs like fractions of a penny, and even if it went up to $1 or $5 or $10 for a gas fee, hey, it's still completely profitable. Okay, and I don't think we'll ever see $10 gas fees on PulseChain. Maybe if we do like millions of X.
Well, we wouldn't mind that, right? Because if we have $10 gas fees on fucking Pulse, then we've all made a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I mean millions of X is what
we'll be that 1% that owns everything that Richard talks about in the highest of stakes in the teaser.
Indeed. I'm just trying to go down my checklist here to see. Sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
All right. So the stakers of Earn collect the fees whenever somebody mints and when somebody redeems. All right. Perhaps a set of addresses that we like will have some Earn tokens. Okay.
With one twist, should those Earn tokens go to some random ETH addresses?
No, that wouldn't make any sense.
People that actually like what you're doing, that'd be very friendly. Yeah.
Now, let's say 16% of the Earn tokens are staked into a contract that feeds its earnings back to the core. All right. So in that fashion, you could be a staker in the core and you're collecting Pulse, you're collecting PulseX, you're collecting PXDC, maybe eventually Pixel token, maybe eventually Hex. Okay. All by being a staker in the core. You're at least getting a piece of all of the fees, but you also can stake any Earn tokens that you have available to you directly inside of Earn protocol and collect the fees over there too. Collect those fees that those Earn tokens are staked and collecting.
This reminds me a lot, and I know it's not at all the same thing, but just how it like can feed off of itself and grow within its own system. It reminds me of like Hedron and Icosa and Hex, and you stake Hex, and then you earn Hedron, and like it just all intertwines like a big circle of just earning back into each other, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Alex is awesome. And we're about to start talking about encapsulated stakes and what that means inside of the core, because some cues were drawn off of what he did. And what we have is also really, really cool.
Hey,
All right,
just
let's
in
hit up
time
some-
for Cinco de Drinko. We have 2 minutes, by the way, so everybody
Let's
prepare your drinks.
go.
We have 2 minutes to
I'll be
Cinco
right
de
back. I'm gonna get
Drinko.
a read.
Fantastic.
Hey,
Well,
good
I
to
made
see
it
you,
just
Big
in
K.
time.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to have made it. Glad to have stepped out of dreamland for long enough to come by and say hello.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back. If my camera's working, I will do another Jose.
Cheers.
We have a little over a minute till the 5:55 here on the Eastern time zone. But I guess before Jesse gets into the next segment, Big K, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing a little, like I said, little groggy here. Just took a little bit longer of a nap than I was expecting. So, had to pull it together extra quick. Other than that, though, doing fantastic. Just I woke up from my nap and I was like, looked at the time and I was like, oh my God, did it launch? No,
Dev Brett is tweeting, and
there's lots of stuff happening. Things are happening fast, man.
Yeah, it's good. We're just not there quite yet. But
I feel like we're pretty close.
You feel close?
I'm sooning super hard.
We're a week away from mid-May.
Yeah,
we are a week away
We're
from
a week
mid-May.
away from mid-May.
I really hope it's another week before it launches. I know that sounds horrible, but we're so close to releasing this Earn protocol, and I want people to see that on Testnet before people forget about Testnet altogether.
That's right. Well, it is 5:55 p.m.
Hey,
so
5:55.
5:55 at 5:55. Cinco de Drinko. Cheers to everybody out there.
Cheers.
Let's get a mainnet launch this month to mid-May.
To mid-May, gentlemen.
Mid-May. Lights out. I am drinking sangria that my mom made, and it's got Fireball, bourbon,
Fireball sangria.
That's what I said.
my dad's homemade wine. So my dad,
sangria.
bro, it's so good. It's so good. I'm telling you. So my dad makes his own wine every year, and it's legit. And it's funny because he literally just walked into the room. He came down for the cheers. So cheers, Dad.
All right.
He makes the wine, and it's made with the wine. And it's good. Trust me. I'll send you the recipe.
I'd love to get an eye on that.
Yes.
That sounds wild.
I'll send you a couple bottles.
Michael says, Richard says it's live. I feel that's not I feel that's a troll.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. Of course, everybody's grabbing their device.
I'm gonna go check just real quick, just
Thanks.
to make sure, real quick. That's all. No deal.
Not seeing anything in the Twitter column that is Richard
No.
Hart.
Thanks, Michael.
But yes,
I don't see anything
that was
yet.
fun. That was fun. Going back to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I think we are good. What's up, Hex Siren, KD? What is going on? So, Big K, I was just catching you up, but Jesse's been walking us through PowerCity, first PortalX. Now we're talking Earn and whatever else next Jesse would like to get into. What's next?
Yep. All right. So, let's talk about the core. So the core is where all fees flow. The core is really, it's taking cues off of Hex, Hedron, some NFT stuff. And here's how it works. So if you have a Genesis stake claimable to you, right? And remember, the entire supply is fixed and available to a set of addresses. All right, minus what's in the liquidity pool. If now you kind of know what a T-share is. A T-share is like your share of, the Hex pool. Well, we have a similar mechanism, and it's called an AMP. And there's a fixed supply of AMP in existence. 2 times that of watt. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So whatever the supply of watt is, amp, there's 2 times that. Now, every stake, when if you have what is a Genesis stake? If you have a claim waiting for you, we're going to call that a Genesis stake or an OG stake. When you click claim, it auto stakes that for you at a 2x amp share. So if you had, let's say, I don't know, 1,000,000 watt available to you, your stake would show that you staked 1,000,000 watt and you have 2 million amp. All right. Those are the only stakes that get the special 2x bonus on their amp share rate.
Nice.
Anybody who is to buy watt has to buy at whatever the current rate is. Okay. If you end a stake, whatever your amp share rate is, if you end your stake, you lose your shares. You no longer have shares, just like over in Hex. If you have Hex staked and you got all these T shares and you end your Hex stake, you don't have T shares anymore. You're not in the pool. You're not earning more Hex. Now you just have liquid Hex. Are things the same way? You stake watt, you've got an amp share rate, and you're earning or collecting a share of all the fees. If you end your stake, you no longer have amped, you're no longer staked, you're no longer earning those fees. You just simply have your watt back. Okay. Now, when you stake, so click on stake. Let's see what that looks like. And you're not going to see much unless you connect a wallet.
Yep.
So that kind of.
What's this website?
This is core.powercity.io.
Yep.
I'll put it in the chat.
All right. When you stake, what's happening is you're creating an encapsulated stake. It's an NFT. Okay. You also get a cool JPEG that goes along with it based on your tier.
Ooh,
Are you a whale?
Say that again. Say that again.
Repeat.
So yes, there are JPEGs attached to these NFTs.
neat.
Just they're for fun, right? Because based on your tier, are you a giant whale staked? Are you a small, you barely have any watt staked? You get a NFT that corresponds to your tier, and the NFTs get cooler and cooler looking. The pictures get cooler and cooler looking the higher up you are in the tier.
So like the last one is like a donkey or something.
Now,
maybe I just gave them an idea, but Eric.
But the stake itself is an encapsulated stake. It houses your watt. It has your amp share rate inside of it. Okay. And any unclaimed fees that you've been earning. So Pulse or Hex or PulseX, PXDC, whatever's landed in there, if you haven't claimed, and you can claim at any time. As you're earning these fees, you just go into the stake page and you see, oh, click this button, you claim your fees. By the way, the fee distribution, publicly callable function. So anybody there, like there's a smart contract that collects up all the fees constantly, and anybody in the community can publicly call that button that poof releases all those fees out as claimable to all the stakers. Okay. So we've made it trustless in that fashion where we don't necessarily have to exist to do anything for the community. Community can run everything themselves. So it's similar to how anybody can run all the functions inside of Hex. So, but at any time you can claim your fees. Now, it starts to get super interesting because similar to Watsa and such.
Watsa.
You don't actually have to end your stake. Let's say you wanted to sell. All right. Let's say you've got a Genesis stake that's got this huge 2x bonus on the amp shares. Right?
Nice.
And you said, oh man, maybe the price went up. Okay. In this scenario, maybe the price went up and you say, man, I really would like to sell sell my watt. Well, remember, if you end your stake, when you click end, you'll get back your original watt that's inside of that stake. You just cancel. You just you no longer have the associated share rate in there, and you'll have the unclaimed fees that are claimed back into your wallet, and all what you have left is your watt. And sure, go sell it. But what if you just kept it staked? Because it has a base price floor of the watt that's inside of it, plus any unclaimed fees. Why wouldn't you just sell your stake? Because maybe you could sell it at a premium because it's got a really good share rate. Even if you bought maybe you don't even have a Genesis stake, but you just bought early on, and people are paying more and more watt to try and get the same position as you. So why wouldn't you just sell it at a premium? You're like, oh, I've got this many watt in there, this many. Here's my share rate. Here's some unclaimed fees. I'll leave those in there for the next guy. And you list your NFT up for sale. The base price floor might be, I don't know, $5,000. But you in your own head say, but it's got a 2x amp share. Let me tack on another $500 on it, and you list it up for $5,500. Somebody else who's buying, who's trying to stake, will have a better rate by buying your NFT than if they just bought watt directly to stake it, right? So you can, for the sellers out there, you could sell your things at a premium. For the buyers out there, you could buy a pre-existing NFT and get a better rate otherwise than you otherwise might be able to, right? So it just creates a secondary market right off the bat, just like you kind of see with the Hex and Icosa ecosystem now, right? But this is all right from the get-go, that entire ecosystem wrapped into here.
This is wild.
Now, it gets more wild. It gets really wild. So one of the biggest challenges in tokens is liquidity. All right. If you see something go up 5,000x, right? Whether it's a dog coin or a frog coin or it's Hex or it's anything else, one of the biggest challenges is where's all the liquidity for this run up in price actually going to come from? And you can incentivize liquidity. Many protocols will incentivize liquidity providers. And the incentive token either runs dry, right? Because they created a pool and they're just emitting it out, and then it runs out, and then it's like, oh, well, that sucks. Or the incentive token that's being emitted out in various protocols to LP people just is like a dump token. So how do you fix that? And we thought really hard how we were going to fix that. What we came up with was, let's incentivize liquidity providers with shares, with the share rate in the fee collection. So here's how that works. And there's a zapper in here too for people who want to easily provide liquidity, and that's really cool. So let's say you want to be we'll cover that part first. Let's say you want to be a liquidity provider, and you've got, I don't know, $5,000 for the Pulse. Okay. In our utilities tab, you'll see this function called Zapper. What it's going to do is you put in the quantity. See the Zapper there? All right. What's going to happen is it's going to take the quantity of Pulse you have and essentially turn half of that value straight into watt, which buys watt. Price goes up. It takes both halves of that. It takes the Pulse and the watt and immediately deploys it as liquidity and drops the PLP token from PulseX straight into your wallet. You've now got the PLP token. Easiest way to liquidity provide in the world. One click, type in the quantity of Pulse that you want to zap into the PulseX liquidity pool. It turns half of that value straight into watt, spits out a PLP token. You're now an LP guy. Okay? So you just raised the price a little bit and locked in the liquidity for everyone else. Now, You can also just go straight to PulseX and be a liquidity provider. You can have Watt, you can have Pulse, pair those two things together. You'll get your LP token, and you can come back here and you can stake LP token. So we already know you can stake Watt. You can stake that directly. But you can also stake the LP token. And the way it calculates your share rate is actually pretty simple. All right. Because you're providing half of your value in the form of Pulse and the other half in the form of Watt, all it does is it looks at your quantity of Watt that it took to make that LP, and it doubles that. And it says that's how it's going to calculate your share rate. So if you had 1,000,000 Watt on one side, it's basically going to say, oh, it's as if he had 2,000,000 Watt. Let's calculate the amp share straight off of that. Okay. So now you're getting full value for the value you're providing for the ecosystem. Not just half, not just you're an LP guy and you're only getting credited for half the value you're providing to the ecosystem. No, you're being credited at the full value that you're participating in the ecosystem. And now you have to compensate for impermanent loss. You give a 50% bonus on the amp share rate. Okay, so the LP providers get a 50% bonus on top of that because they're providing a service to everyone else. It gets super interesting if the price does run up, because imagine somebody else who would try to gain the same position as you. It starts to become impossible. For somebody to buy Watt, if the price went up, they would have to buy way more Watt than you did to get the same share rate. Even if the Watt's going up in price as an LP guy and you're experiencing some impermanent loss, you're compensated for that because of your share rate, 50% bonus that you got. And who after you is going to be able to accumulate the same share rate that you have as the price is even moving up. And that's in the form of an NFT, by the way, that you can sell at a premium to somebody else. And you can merge stakes. In fact, you can merge LP stakes to regular stakes. All it does is put them together, and it adds the amp share rate, the amps together, the quantity of amps that you have together. If you merge your stakes together, you can't unmerge. It's impossible. Okay. So if you decide to clump a bunch of stakes together as one, you might jump some tiers, which might get you a cooler JPEG that you can brag about. Or let's say you have one of those Genesis stakes. What if you have Genesis stake number 1 or Genesis stake 5555 or some interesting number Genesis stake that you just don't want to unstake because it might have its own value outside of the value of any of this just because it's a cool number or whatever, right? You may decide to merge stakes into that. Make that stake bigger. There's some game theory where, I've got Genesis stake 5555 and I want to merge, 5 stakes into it and do this or do that. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of gameplay here. That's pretty much the core. And all this is where all the fees flow. So remember, we've got PortalX swap.io. It takes all the fees, it buys Pulse, distributes that out to the stakers in the core, right? From all these 64 different blockchains. How do you collect those fees? Well, you got to be a staker. But there's gameplay inside of being a staker, just like you find gameplay in Hex. It's got similar gameplay. So you can sit there and earn bigger and bigger shares of the fee earning pool through various gameplay, through strategies and whatnot. That's pretty much the core. Now, go back to utilities. We found some things lacking on PulseChain, or at least complicated on PulseChain. So down at the bottom, people always say, well, how do I add my tokens into MetaMask so I can see them? Right there, one click, add PulseX to MetaMask, add wrapped pulse to MetaMask, add PLP to MetaMask, right? Just click one button, bam, now you've imported those contracts into your MetaMask so that the tokens will show up.
Which makes it so much easier done this way. I know PulseX does it instead of like looking up the contract address, trying to like triple check your numbers and chain ID and everything. So it's awesome to have.
Right. Now scroll up a bit. You got the zapper up there, and you've also got the wrapper. So just because of how smart contracts work, the pulse you're earning is actually wrapped pulse. So you can just come, if you want to unwrap it, you can just come in here and unwrap it. It's using the same contract as PulseX is using. You can wrap and unwrap in PulseX as well if you want to do that. But we have that tool built right in here if you want to do that.
Nice. Questions, bookmarking them all. So Big K and Freddie, if you have any that aren't answered here, please feel free to chime in afterwards. But this one from Archipelago is a good one to start, I think. So if you have an OG stake, and I'm probably going to, add to this as well, maybe it might help things make sense in order. If you have an OG stake with the 2x bonus, then you buy. All right. So actually, let's stop there. So what constitutes an OG stake, or how do you qualify? So you have to be a sacrifice address. Is that correct?
You have to be, your wallet address has to have a claim and stake available to it.
Okay, there you go. And is there a minimum to that, like a minimum amount? Like you can't just throw like 25 cents in. You have to throw like $5 or $10 in to be eligible, or any address really.
Any and all addresses.
Okay.
All addresses that have a claim waiting for them are considered OG stake claims, right?
Excellent. So there's no minimum.
The entire supply will be awaiting for people to claim. All of that is considered OG, because our thing, when you click the claim button, it literally says claim and stake. It mints that NFT, that smart contract, and immediately stakes it. You now have an OG claim and stake.
That's so dope.
Boom.
You can end that
That's
stake if
super
you want.
dope.
You can end it. Now think about this. There are other protocols that may do airdrops, or like you do a claim and then you have tokens liquid in your wallet and then you have the choice to go stake them. Our thing, to give OG stakes a 2x bonus, it insta stakes them at the moment of claim. You still have the same choice you would otherwise, and your stake, and go do whatever you want to do with your watt. But you'll come back in at the regular share rate, whatever the share rate is at that time.
All right, so I'll finish what Archipelago was saying. So if you have an OG stake with the 2x bonus, then you buy more watt and create a separate stake. Follow along. And then you decide to merge those two stakes. Would you still get the 2x bonus on the merged stake?
No. You'll get the current share rate on that second stake, and you'll add the amps together when you merge them.
All right.
And you don't have to create a second stake and then merge. You can add to an existing stake. So when you go into stake, you'll see the option add new stake or add to, right? You can just add more watt into an existing stake or add more PLP into an existing stake.
All right. So I'll add on to this one. So a lot of people sacrifice with multiple wallets. So say you sack $20 with one wallet and $50 with another. And
they're transferable.
And $100 to another.
The share rate doesn't change.
Right. So you have 3 wallets. So you make your first, let's just start in numerical order, or the lowest one. So you make your OG stake with your $20.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have the $50 and $100 ones out there. Can you I guess, claim both of those and merge those with the 20 and still get
Hold
that.
on. Let's clarify. You said
Sorry. Yeah.
you make your OG stake with $20. OG stakes are claim
Or
stakes.
claim. Sorry.
They're already waiting.
Okay. So
There's
you
no-
claim your $20
Right.
OG.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So I guess first, would that one be first one in the pool, like with the best rate, because that was claimed first?
No.
Okay.
All OG stakes get a 2x on their whatever their watt is, 2x that's the amount of amps that they have.
You're talking
There's no
bonus,
race.
right?
There's no race to the door to be the first guy to hit the button.
Okay. That's
Right,
kind
there's
of
a
because you
fixed
were talking
supply-
like
there's a
T-shares. You mentioned that, and I don't want people to get confused, because if you are later to the game, then the rate rises, kind of like the T-share kind of thing.
Well, the
So-
rate rises based on
I want to make that distinction, I guess, for the audience. Yeah.
the rate will rise based on like the price and like how many people are staked. But that applies to like purchasing watt, making new stakes. The existing on day one claims, those are all kind of fixed.
Okay.
At 2x amp for all of the watt, right?
Okay. So you could, going along with the 20, 50, 100 theory, you could claim your $20. Let's just use that one as the example. Claim your 50 and 100, then merge those into the 20 if you would like. And then that would be like,
You can,
Yeah.
and you can send, you can receive. I mean, you can send these stakes from one address to another. So,
but you can't buy more of the token. Like, you have to combine stakes, correct? I guess that's what the question.
You can buy the token if you want.
You can, but can that be added?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
You
just trying to get
can buy
clarity
more-
on this
You
question,
can buy
because
more
it's a lot.
watt
Yeah.
and add that to an existing OG stake.
Okay.
But that watt that you're adding will not be at the 2x. It'll be at whatever the current amp share rate is. So you're just
Okay, that's the distinction I was looking for. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So you
But-
may have had 1 million watt in there and 2 million amp, and then you go buy some more watt and bring it back in, like another million watt, and maybe that million watt at the current rate is like 500,000 amp or something,
Yeah.
right? Whatever that current rate is, it just adds those amps together. That's all it's doing.
Okay. So I guess to conclude my example, if you have the 20, 50, 10, all those are claimed originally. Those can all be merged at the 2x. But if you have
Yes.
a 20 and you go buy 50 of watt and you go buy 100 of watt, and then you bring that into the 20, then that's at the different rate.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And whatever, even if you bought watt, staked it, look, it now has an amp share rate. Just like Hex has a certain amount of T shares, for that stake. And the T share rate changes, but the T shares itself, you still have that many T shares. That never changes for that stake. This is no different. If you're to buy watt and stake it, you're going to get an amp share rate that's going to stay the same for that, unless you merge that with another one and it just adds them together.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Vets in Crypto, go and play with this on Testnet. Everything Jesse's saying will make sense, and the light bulb will go off, and you will have the aha moment. So there you go.
You want to hear something crazy? And look, markets are going to do irrational things or do the opposite of what they did on Testnet. I have no idea. We created this system that allows people to LP very easily. The liquidity pool grows very fast because you can stake the LP tokens for an amp share rate and get even a 50% bonus on that, right? And with the zapper function, people buy, price goes up, adds more liquidity. People buy, price goes up, adds more liquidity. And we knew it was going to work. And we ran it on our own private testnet, and it was wild. So then we released it to the public, and no expectations. literally markets are going to sell this coin if it gets ridiculous. But on Testnet, it was stupid price appreciation, like ridiculous. We had a $200,000 liquidity pool. Okay. And within hours, that thing went to like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of liquidity. And the token price 5,000x. And it started at a price that people thought that it should start at. The whole mechanism was like this giant lockup mechanism. And stakes don't have time locks. People can end stake at any time. But people can sell their stakes. They don't have to sell the token. People can easily provide LP and get bonus, and then even
This is very cool.
So it's just this constant buy pressure and constant liquidity pool depth increaser mechanism that's insane. Now people on Mainnet will sell into that. There's no way they won't. But they don't
like the incentive token on PulseX, which was absurd as well. But yeah. Questions, lots of them. Let me see. I guess a few that were at the end of the earn discussion. So let's do that really quick. How do you get earn tokens? You don't really get them. I guess you can hope for them. Is it through the Watt token sacrifice? We kind of addressed it earlier, but
token sacrifice. There is a sacrifice to align your beliefs in the right to a free market.
I misstated.
Okay.
Yes.
We have multiple protocols, and of which early on, earn token has to exist and be distributed out to places, and so does Watt. And it's certainly not likely to go to some random Bitcoin people's addresses, or like ETH people's addresses, rather. It's probably going to be with a group of people who have aligned their beliefs.
As previously
But we must be clear that there's no such thing as a token sacrifice.
No expectations, Cabana.
Correct. It's just, perhaps, some people might be more like than others if they make good decisions.
Let's go.
Initially. Another one on earn from Lights Out. What's up, man? Who you got in the fight tomorrow night? When earn on V4? I'm dying over here. Tony Soprano.
Well, it actually is on V4. We just haven't told you the URL.
Aha.
I think we may be 1 or 2 days away. I think
soon.
I think it's ready, but safety first. I want to go through this list one more time, make sure every scenario is covered before we release this thing.
There you go. Rain Solid, Jesse, can you add additional PLP to existing PLP stakes?
Yes. Yep, of course.
Who else? Firefighting 82. SAC address is the same address for all chains? ?
That's correct. Don't sacrifice from an exchange.
Luna C Point asks, have bridges been vetted for security? It's rather broad.
We are not a bridge. We aggregate bridges. Here's the risk in bridges. Here's what people have to understand. I can't recall any stories where people have gone through a bridge and not eventually got their tokens on the other side. Sometimes there's a delay. There's like required confirmations on the other side. Now, what I have seen is assets in a bridge get hacked or drained because, a bridge team either has keys, or some keys were compromised, or there's some Oracle failure price. So the prices on two chains are different. Somebody is able to extract way more than they should be able to out of a bridge. The risk is not usually using the bridge. It's holding a wrapped thing on a blockchain. Here's how a bridge typically works. Let's say you've got Doggy Coin on ETH and you want to go over to Matic Chain. And you find a bridge and you say, oh, my Doggy Coin. Okay. You're essentially putting it into that bridge, and that bridge team now owns it. They own that token, that ERC20. They probably have admin keys or like a Gnosis safe to access all those tokens they're holding. And what their contract does is it mints you a representation of that on the Matic chain. Same ticker symbol. Sometimes it adds a W or whatever in front of it, but it's a new contract number that's compatible on the new blockchain. So now you have this, oh, I've got Doggy Coin now on Matic. Okay. And you think you're cool. So you're running around, you're either holding that liquid in your wallet or whatever. You're minding your own business. And somewhere down the line, the team steals all the money out of the bridge pool. All those tokens from people going the one direction into Matic, the bridge pool gets drained. And you're holding a wrap thing that was supposed to be redeemable back for that ERC20 in that pool. And, the liquidity pools are really thin and stuff over on Matic. But there's always supposed to be this redemption mechanism where any of those wrap things through the bridge are supposed to be redeemable for the assets that are actually held in the bridge. But if that bridge gets hacked or stolen from, all the people, the poor souls who are holding the wrapped assets get screwed. And their tokens go to zero as there's a race to the door of people trying to swap out of them real quick because everyone realizes that they're no longer redeemable in the bridge. Okay? Going through the bridge is not the biggest risk. Holding a wrapped asset on the other side of a bridge and not getting out of it quickly into something else is the biggest risk. Okay? Dare I say, even Pulse Ramp. Okay?
Ooh.
I know that hurts people's ears. But all bridges are risky for the same reason. Because there's a pool of assets somewhere that's holding all the original. And somebody somewhere has access to that or can get compromised. So if there's a giant pool and all the wrapped things on a chain are supposed to be redeemable for those, if or when that pool gets drained, all the people with those wrapped things get screwed. Okay. What PortalX does is it allows you to go through all these existing bridges, but land with a native token on the chain you want to, if that's what you want. Instead of holding something that's simply wrapped through a bridge, it'll go through a bridge and pop you straight back into a native asset on that chain. And now you're not holding something that's super risky.
Boomba. Big K, man. You've been a little quiet over there. I know, you're sitting with the nice, beautiful teaser chair in the background. Again.
Oh, yeah, yes, yes. Yeah.
Any questions so far for Jesse? I got a whole
No,
lineup here,
I'm enjoying. I mean, I'd like for the audience questions to get answered for sure, but I'm enjoying the lessons here. I honestly, this is all new good stuff for me. So thanks, Jesse.
Excellent. Freddie.
I feel like Jesse is to Pulse what Alex was to Hex.
Don't go that far. Alex is super smart.
He is
words,
super
man,
smart.
big words.
He's very smart. He's very smart.
Smart dude,
and I know
smart
there's a
dudes.
whole team at Power City, but man, this is awesome. This is super awesome.
It's pretty nifty. I think that y'all have really well thought out, projects here. So.
You want to hear another cool thing?
Always.
I love going down rabbit holes. So we got Earn Protocol PXDC, right? Liquid loans, you got USDL. Now, if there was only one, do you know how it would peg itself back to $1? The redemption mechanism. So all stablecoins move in prices just like any other ERC20. Because ERC20 is paired together, it's just a ratio game, right? USDC included. If you had a USDC pool and it was paired to like whatever, ETH, okay? And there was only 1 million USDC and somebody came along and dumped 500,000. The value of USDC would go down a lot compared to ETH, whatever the rate of ETH is, because you just dumped a bunch in there and you got ETH out. So that ratio just changed. Okay. You changed the ratios of these two ERC20s. USDC is now at this point, maybe 50 cents, right? Or less, because you dumped so much of it. All right. What pegs a stablecoin back is that other people literally come behind you and buy it back up to the right price. And the way that works is there's a redemption mechanism somewhere. So at USDC, they retain fiat dollars, and they always tell people, hey, you can redeem $1 worth of, or you can redeem 1 USDC and we'll give you $1. All right. So when people see like 95-cent USDC, they're like, oh, buying opportunity. They buy it. Boop, they fix that ratio we talked about, and then they they go back to USDC and they redeem it for $1 and they make instant profit. And a lot of this is run with bots. Okay, so this is how stablecoins, this is how DAI works. Okay, DAI is in these pools, and if DAI falls in price, it's immediately bought back up, and you can redeem it back for $1 worth of ETH and Maker. LUSD, same way. It falls in price, immediately bought back up. You can redeem it for $1 worth of ETH. Okay. If there is only one stablecoin on PulseChain, that same mechanism applies. But anytime there's volatility, that redemption mechanism goes to the lowest collateralized vault inside of the protocol, and it grabs the collateral, the $1 worth of collateral from there as it burns the stable coins. So anytime somebody sells some coins, they're bought back up, but the lowest collateralized vault has to pay it. Not pay it. Pay it. Do the redemption. Fulfill the redemption. So it's a constant churning of the 110, 112, 130% vault down at the bottom always. Okay, now let's introduce a second stablecoin into a blockchain. Things start to get really interesting. Now you start to build up this liquidity like Curve was designed for, kind of. Now you pair two stable coins together. Okay. For math, we'll say 1 million and 1 million. Okay. And you have aggregators that are constantly routing, finding the best trade routes, right? We talked about that earlier. And they're even routing through these things constantly, maybe even, right? And when somebody dumps a stable coin, what you'll see is USDL paired to PXDC. Let's say somebody dumps some USDL. They dump 100 grand worth of it. Bam, that million and million pool now has 900,000, they dumped USDL. So now it has 1,100,000 USDL and 900 some thousand PXDC. The price is off, right? They just changed that ratio. The liquidity provider who's sitting in the middle of that, the liquidity provider who has both USDL and PXDC, he's loving it because he's just sitting there and it's just going do constantly. That guy's making money. And anybody in the community or the people who are writing bots, they see that ratio change when somebody dumps one and they're already holding both, and they use the cheaper one, the more expensive one to go buy the cheaper one, and boom, it instantly fixes the price. And the next time somebody sells, again, boom, they instantly fix the price. It goes the other way, boom. And it constantly, now you have LP guys and you have just smart people out there who are using their sum of PXDC and USDL to constantly just bring the prices back, and they're scooping up the difference. So any slippage that any seller lost, the next guy immediately gains. right? By repegging the price. So you introduced a second stability mechanism into the stablecoin ecosystems on PulseChain, and you don't have to 100% rely on that redemption mechanism. You don't want that to be the only mechanism. You want multiple things on the blockchain that are keeping the stablecoin stable. Now, later on, you introduce co-stable dollar. You incorporate that into the pool. So now you pair that dollar to the PXDC. You pair the co-stable dollar back to USDL. If somebody bridged and died, now we know the risks of the bridges, of course. But if somebody wants to, they can grab some of that DAI that's been bridged in. They can pair it back to USDL, pair it back to PXDC. And all these things start to stabilize each other. And they'd all just stay at $1. Okay. It's really, really cool. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. But that's why you literally don't want just one on a chain. You want multiple. And that's what you do with them. And there is money to be made when you're in the middle and you're pairing all these things together.
You're just arbing it, basically.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Neat.
And as an LP guy, check this out. You know how there's impermanent loss? If you pair Pulse to, even Watt, okay? One goes up and like there's going to be impermanent loss. Maybe you're compensated for that elsewhere. But with stable coins, especially ones that are completely redeemable back for $1 worth of something, like USDL and PXDC, you pair those things together, where's your impermanent loss? They're constantly repegging each other back to $1. And no matter what, if you withdraw your LP, those are redeemable for $1 worth of PulseX or $1 worth of Pulse. There's zero impermanent loss in this play.
Correct.
That's what you need.
That's all I'm saying there. Spitting facts. Archipelago, are there marketing efforts? Well, this, suggests that you have expectations, so I'll put that out there. Could there, perhaps I can rephrase this question. Is it a possibility that there could be some sort of, I don't even want to say marketing, but promotion for PortalX directed towards users of other chains like Avalanche, Solana, BNB, etc.?
Absolutely. There could be.
There could be. Exactly.
And it's also the responsibility of the community.
Yep.
Boom.
To go show the things that they like.
Exactly.
That bring value into PulseChain. That constant buy pressure into PulseChain that we talked about.
That's so awesome. Can I go back to my first question?
Go for it.
Unless are there more questions that you have, Cabana?
I got most of them. I have a couple general about PulseX,
Right,
but we can save that.
No,
We can save the general ones to the end. They're not PowerCity specific.
So if we go back to my original question, if you had, let's just say 100 million Pulse, you could get 3 validators out of that. Instead of that, how would you structure that into the PowerCity ecosystem? Would you stake? You'd stake. You take a percentage. You do something. What would be your game plan?
I don't want to talk about my game plan. Everyone has to make their own decisions, and we do need validators. Okay. There's going to be all sorts of plays that are.
How's that sangria, Freddie?
There's going to be all sorts of plays that are
I'm
better.
Like 4 of them in, bro. I'm like, what are we doing here?
There's going to be all sorts of plays that are better, pay out better than being a validator, and some that are worse than being a validator. You have to make your own decisions on that. You want to hear something crazy? Do you know how freaking hard it is to bring somebody into PulseChain from Binance? Let's go through this. You find a DJing community and you get them excited about PulseChain. All right.
Love how you just mentioned Binance and DGen back to back. That's awesome. Go
ahead. All right. So you find these people and you find this guy or gal, and he's got some random dog coin thing. Okay. Now you tell him, all right, let's find the liquidity pool that gets you a great rate on that, right? And you're okay. So you spend a whole bunch of time. Okay, you get them to swap out of something. You find the bridge to get them back to ETH, and you find that token's not acceptable through that bridge. Swap that thing back into something else. Okay, he swaps it again. He goes through the bridge into ETH. Okay, he pays all these gas fees for these swaps. He makes his way into ETH, and then it's like, okay, now let's go look at PulseRamp. Let's see what's available through that bridge. Oh, the thing you're holding, that's not swappable directly for the thing that's in PulseRamp that you can bridge through. So you got to swap again on ETH. Okay, cool. You swapped again. Okay, now you're holding something that you can bring through PulseRamp. Now you send him to the bridge in PulseRamp. He goes through that bridge. He gets spit out a token on the other side, a wrap thing or whatever. And now he's like, oh, but I really wanted to buy whatever on PulseChain. Oh, okay. Now go swap that thing for the thing you want on PulseChain. He has to do like 7, 8, 9, 10 transactions. And he says, go fuck yourself. I'm not doing all that to get into PulseChain. That's retarded. Okay. So instead, yes, you simply tell them you want to go into PulseChain, go to PortalXSwap.io, pick the token you want on PulseChain, click one button, you're in. That's how easy it's going to be to get people into PulseChain. And there are from 63 frickin' blockchains. There is literally no easier way for anybody to get into PulseChain than using our thing. And it will use PulseRamp as one of the routes. Right? You'll see that listed on there as one of the routes to get into PulseChain. Maybe you'll see some multi-chain stuff. Maybe as other bridges, pop up to get into PulseChain. You'll see all those routes available, but it's still one click. You have somebody in PulseChain.
That's useful.
Highly. What else is in this chat? I think mainly. Oh, one more question here at the end. Nicola Hexla. Why can't 3 or more tokens be added to one LP? For instance, PXDC, USDL, and DAI.
Ooh, it gets super challenging. Like, I tried, the team tried, and mathematically, it starts to become ridiculous. Okay. You want the main pool to be Watt paired back to Pulse. You want to ride whatever price appreciation that thing does, and you want big, thick, deep liquidity available. You pair it back to Pulse. Okay. You want the amp share rate to be calculated on the Watt that was provided. Now, you can't have other PLP tokens that can be staked. It's just way too hard. Like mathematically, and there's no sense to do it. Because if you want the best trade route, like here, I talk about aggregating all the time. Our aggregator searches for the best rates. LPing, you also want your pool to have the best rates. That doesn't mean you have, like, you will see Watt paired to PXDC. You'll see Watt paired to this and Watt paired to that, Watt paired to DAI, all these things. Sure. But I think the main pool that's incentivized, it's Watt paired to Pulse, and you want that to be really, really thick. You don't necessarily need to incentivize a whole bunch of other pools just so everyone's slippage becomes greater because they're spreading out all their LP across multiple pools. When you do that, you're also spreading out everyone's slippage rates because you're making all those pools thinner than they need to be. When you consolidate the biggest pool into Pulse Watt, least amount of slippage to buyers and sellers.
There you go. Freddie's part of the panel, but he's going to have to rewatch this. I think a lot of people will too. Lots of good information, lots of questions. That's why chat, you guys rock. any more, let me know. We got some general ones in here that I'm saving kind of till the end because we're still on PowerCity, but we're gonna talk a little PulseX, maybe some general topics before we sign off for the night. But yeah, anything else you'd like to touch on, Jesse, before we get there?
We will never ever stop building. I mean, we're starting to wrap up these projects. And as we wrap up, we're already thinking of the next thing. We're already building the next thing, right? So you'll see Earn Protocol release next. You'll see our amplifier. Amplifier's out, but it can't exist until Liquid Loans exists on chain or Earn Protocol exists on chain. It's a auto compounder front end for either protocol, but you can't release it on testnet for the public to play with until you have the other thing on testnet first, right? So Earn Protocol will probably be the next thing in the shoot. So you'll see Earn, then you'll see Amplifier, and then you'll see Pixel Park. But it doesn't stop there. You'll see the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And all of these things will feed more and more fees into that core that we talked about where people can stake.
Couple more latecomers. Yannick Kudville. To onboard other communities, would it be advantageous to create liquidity with their native gas coin like PBNB, Pulse, PAVAX, and Pulse?
Maybe, but like,
see, when
you want to
when you
recommend
make Jesse pause
people,
for a question and answer, you asked a pretty good question. So.
well, I kind of want to say no, actually. Right. So let's give an example of Hex, right? You find Hex on AVAX chain. The liquidity pool is like this big, okay? And you save gas trading Hex on or not AVAX chain, on Matic chain. You save gas by trading Hex on Matic chain, but then you just re-wreck yourself because the liquidity pool is so thin, the slippage you eat is like huge, okay? If you tried to bring people into your chain by having their ticker symbol on your chain, but the liquidity pool is super small, they end up getting wrecked. Now, I know we have this narrative on PulseChain of, hey, everyone can come over and play with their things. But if the liquidity pool is thin, they're quickly going to realize they're not getting much value out of that. And they get wrecked in slippage. They have to go into the advanced setting on PulseX and change it to advanced so that they don't get a warning when they go past 35% slippage and all that. So it's not always going to be, you know, a super great experience for people to come into PulseChain. What will make the experience good for users is natively launched protocols, not just us, but things like Coast, Liquid Loans, Fiat, people building new things that work. New playground with like brand new natively launched protocols. Those are the things that are going to keep the users on PulseChain. The liquidity pool stuff, trying to entice them to bring them over with their ticker symbol, that may get them in the door, but you got to keep them in PulseChain with other cool stuff.
Boom. There you go. Freddy Quotes. I know you got to get out of here in a second, but thanks for coming by, man. This is a great discussion, and the chat was on fire. And, I mean, we answered so many questions. There's more coming. But, yeah, thanks for your input on this too, man.
No problem, brother. Thank you for having me.
Heck yeah. And you enjoy your Cinco de Mayo fiesta.
100%. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to see you, Big K. Good to see you, Jesse. Okay, let's do a steak and bake soon.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sorry for rugging the last one, man.
Oh, no, dude. Oh, did you have fun?
Yeah, dude. Joshua Tree.
Joshua
awesome.
Tree, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's super sick. That's
hell yeah. That's
cool. It was
a
kick-ass adventure.
I have some friends who graduated and went to college out in Arizona, and they would take trips over to Joshua Tree I guess it's a day trip or so. But,
yeah, you
had
can
a
drive.
blast out there.
I mean, you could do some long hiking, but you can see most of everything in it was like 3-hour drive. But it's super sick, man. It's definitely a different take on national park, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Good luck, guys, with your if Pulse launches this weekend, and I don't talk to you before then. Get your strategies together.
Get the champagne ready.
Yeah, facts.
Maybe another week or two. We'll see.
Man, I think if I have to make a prediction before I leave, I'm going to say within 7 days, but I wouldn't be surprised within like 2 or 3. That's my guess.
Fair. I'll go with mid-May. I've been saying May, but let's just
keep it the 14th through the 16th.
That's
the 13th through the 18th.
I mean, you could do 10th through the 20th, really.
10th through the 20th, yeah.
I'm supposed to be busy the 12th through the 14th, so that sounds like a perfect.
Yeah, that's probably
perfect time for it to happen. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Dev
Away
Brett.
from your computer.
None of that.
All right, guys, I'll get at you. Good to see you, Jesse.
Yep, you too. See you.
Have a good one, brother.
Hey, man. All right, so what do we have left here aside from 2 more weeks?
Somebody said, "Don't forget your PulseX question." What does that mean?
I have a couple of them. I'm trying to get through anything that's related to PowerCity or other similar protocols, such as loan token. Is it supposed to be pegged around $1?
No, there's nothing pegging that to anything. It is an incentive that's paid out to stability depositors. Also that a set of addresses may have early on. And you can stake that token for all the fees over in liquid loans. It's very similar to the earn token. It's an incentive token that you get for staking the stability pool. You can also stake that for the fees. Okay. Its emission gets less and less and less over time. Kind of like Bitcoin. But instead of on a 4-year halving, it's on a 1-year halving. We don't need to talk about all that today, but it's actually pretty cool.
Bearded Saint, I think this is the last one, unless we have any more late arrivals. Is the aggregator taking into account any fees as swaps are being made or bridges being used, I assume?
Is that for real? Yeah, this is 163 Goy right now. Just like chilling.
Is it taking into account any fees as swaps are being made or bridges being used? Yeah, I mean, there's a fee. There's fees, yeah. So when you interact with, like, let's say you want to do a trade and it says, "Oh, Curve protocol is like the best rate." You're like, "Oh, sweet, I'll get more coins if I use this Curve one." And you click that. You'll pay whatever normal fee you would over on Curve, the 0.3% or whatever. But then you'll also pay $1 and 0.1%. 0.1, really small. Because that service found you that great rate that you just clicked.
Boom. And with that, we have concluded, I think, the PowerCity ecosystem question and answer part of the show. I mean, I guess we just have some fun stuff left. We can just throw out there. Let's see here. Big K, anything you would like to speak on before I get in a couple fun topics before we?
Nope.
Get out of here?
I got nothing. My brain is swirling with all the core and PowerCity. I'm just thinking on it all and excited.
Yeah.
No. Let's go to the fun stuff.
All right. Well, one more, I guess, PowerCity related, and this is just like a general one because like, people watch this show and it's like, oh my gosh, we're not talking Hex 24/7, Hex. I want to talk about. There's so many channels and streams talking about Hex. We love Hex. It's this is how this show started. Like, it was like the main thing we talked about for a while. But now the PulseChain ecosystem is literally being built for it. You have PulseX, so of course we're going to touch on all of those, plus any other protocols that can perhaps enhance those. So I guess, Jesse, this is a question for you. I mean, for those who would like, just a little more reassurance, How can the Power City ecosystem? Yeah, I know we touched on it earlier, but how can it benefit? Just like a couple sentences or a small paragraph or something. How can it benefit PulseChain and or PulseX?
Well, every imaginable way. Okay, every imaginable way.
This is why we're talking about it.
This thing literally finds you the best rate to save you the most amount of money. Okay. It does that across all the different blockchains, and people pay a fee for that service. You would have to pay a fee for any other aggregator you use, any other bridging tool, anything, right? They would already have to pay a fee, but these fees flow to, hexagons who happen to be holding Watt, so they can collect all that value and put it into the things they want. Maybe that's Hex. I don't know. Okay. But it literally brings all of that value straight into PulseChain. It uses a buy and burn as it does that. It pumps Pulse while it does that. And it gives all that value out to the hexagons or the Watt holders or the Watt people, right? The people staking Watt. Okay. So absolutely that tool PortalX brings a ton of value. As far as the stablecoin system, well, you have to have stablecoins. You have to have things that are trustless, immutable, all these no admin keys, no counterparty, okay? And you don't want people to sell Pulse, and you don't want people to sell PulseX, and maybe those people would like to collateralize their thing and take mint some stable coins against that. What does that do? That gets people to lock up PulseX, gets people to lock up Pulse, price goes up constantly because people are locking it up and minting stable coins and doing other things with those coins. All of this, everything that we're bringing doesn't drain at all from PulseChain or from Hex. All of it is fundamentals for both.
Boom. Late arrival from Dixon Cider. When I bridge with Power City, will it always bridge any amount I ask, or is it dependent on a minimum, maximum, or someone having to fill my order like a limit order? I've tried to use other bridges, but it won't let me because nobody is willing to bridge me for the amount I have.
It's dependent on the bridge that you select, right? So this thing will find you the routes, and each of those routes has its own rules and parameters. So like our thing itself is just think of it as a really powerful search engine. We're not imposing any sort of limits, or we're not even conducting the trade for you. When you click that button, you're interacting directly with that bridge that you selected. So you'd have to look at their rules. You might see a list of a ton of bridges, right? OX this, or multi-chain this, or pulse ramp that, right? You select the one you like, but if you're curious about how that one operates, go read about that one.
Because it's a super chat and we had Hexy Bastard on last week, can we go around the room and ask everyone's thoughts on 9inch, asking for a friend? So 9inch is, of course, the poor pleb exchange. Hexy Bastard sacrificed $100 for PulseChain. That's the running joke here. So congrats to Hexy Bastard. But now they are building 9inch.io. Will PortalX, I guess, be connecting to this, or some way? Will these be touching each other at some point? Or
if liquidity is really thick, of course.
There you go.
Our thing, look, when you look through all our all the list of chains that we're on, all the list of dexes that we use, all those things have really deep, thick liquidity. You in the future, if something like 9inch has super thick liquidity and it's safe, it's entirely possible that it's one of the options on there. What you wouldn't want to see is 9inch on there and then that little warning on this, next to it saying it's dangerous, right? So we have to see everything in action before we go back to the devs and our partners and say, is this a good idea or not? And should we do this or can we do this?
And Big K, before we move on, did you see Hexy's 9-inch last week? And any thoughts on that?
I really love the memes. It's
They are outstanding. Any eggplant with a condom on it is, how can you not love it? So
it's great. It's great. The memes are fucking fire.
$100, Hexy bastard, $100. Another late arrival from Nicola Hexla. Will PortalX do partial fills on limit orders, and how long can limit orders be set for?
Yes, it will do partial orders. How long can they be set for? You pick the number of minutes, hours, days. I don't know that there's an upper limit. There might be. Excuse me. You have to go look.
Yeah. And I think, yes, we also don't like the PulseX limit orders like it was before, where the tokens for a while. I like the 1-inch approach better.
Well, there it is.
There it is. There.
It may fill in a different fashion too, where you actually get a better rate this way.
There you go.
I don't. You'd have to go compare, and then you have an aha moment.
Big K, one for you.
What?
When highest of stakes, sir?
Soon.
Soon.
Very
Sometime.
soon.
Maybe soon. When it's ready, which is soon. So soon.
Yeah,
when it's ready.
I saw a chart that Hodl Dog created.
Yes, it was very, it explained everything in one complete loop. So yeah.
Yep.
Some more fun. Okay. PulseX 2-year prediction after launch. Let's just jump into the fun stuff right now. Big K, do we how many zeros do we have?
How many zeros do we have in front of it or behind it?
Oh. I was talking in front, but turn me on, sir. Talk to me.
I don't know, man. Let's say we let me do some, and then we go and we do. I don't know, 10 cents.
Really?
That'd be insane. No,
wow.
I don't know. I'm
fine.
If you take the sack rate, you go down 90%, and then you 10,000x from there. That's 10 cents.
There you go. I'll go with 10 in front.
So but I don't know.
This is just fun. The fun part of the show.
All right, fine. I mean, even a penny would be great.
That's I'll say 10, but 2-year PulseX prediction. Any from you, Jesse?
I don't even want to guess. All I know is,
but Jesse said,
like, if you go look at PancakeSwap, PancakeSwap's kind of cool. You have single-sided staking. You have all these LP plays over there. You can get it 80%, APY consistently over there. It's ridiculous. Nobody talks about that, by the way, because everyone wants to pile into Hex. But you could literally sit over in PancakeSwap and collect 80% APY and just be constantly collecting these tokens that you just dump and just keep extracting all that value. It's insane. Now, PulseX has those similar things. PulseX has additional game theory with this really cool buy and burn function, the incentive token thing. So it's like Pancake with a bigger community, which may or may not be good. Maybe that's just extra dilution. Okay, so maybe the rates will absolutely suck on Mainnet. Nobody knows. But the game itself is way cooler than PancakeSwap. So I think it'll do better than PancakeSwap.
There you go. And for Hexy Bastard, yeah, well, $100 is more than most people of the crypto space have sacked for PulseChain because most outside of the Hex universe ignored it. So, yeah. Actually, I had no money, man. Sandy B is always here to remind you about your $100. Let's see. Agreed, Tigray. For those just joining, you need to rewatch this. I know there's been Jesse's been on a lot of great channels as well, but we also took a ton of questions. So if you had a question, I'm hoping it was answered. PortalX, Watt, PulseChain, Bridges, absolutely. All right, so this one I guess is more along the lines of current events. So with just ETH fees blowing up, I tweeted out an example of basically it almost costing an entire ETH to end a OG hex stake earlier. Big K, maybe start off with this one. What would prevent a PulseChain from becoming a gas monster like ETH? I mean, eventually that'd be great if we get there, but we can always just make another fork, right?
I mean, if ETH gets sharding, don't we too? So
there you go.
all the stuff that could come down the pipeline, we would have as well. So that would be cool. But nothing at the moment, really. If all the users of Ethereum came and decided to play on PulseChain instead, we would also have, exceptionally high fees. Whatever tweaks that they've done to the blockchain to make it better, faster, stronger, all that kind of stuff. It might be to some degree, but it's still that you're still gonna. It's only marginally so, So we would have that issue eventually if we get anywhere near there, and then PulseChain needs layer 2s or other cool stuff like that. Then there's some success there, so we should all be happy. So,
any thoughts on that one, Jesse? Before we move along,
what would prevent it from being?
What?
Yeah, no users. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
The gas rate will be amazing if nobody uses PulseChain.
Yeah.
Gas goes up in price actually for like two reasons. One, because of the congestion, but two, the GWEI or the beat, I guess if you're talking about PLS, it's just a decimal of the gas coin. So if the gas coin is going up in price per dollar on speculation, the GWEI, what am I talking about? ETH. Let's say ETH is going up in price because people are speculating and running the price up. The GWEI is a decimal of that, and that's also going up in dollar value. So gas goes up. If ETH did a 10x, gas would be 10 times more expensive.
Yep.
But the second factor that affects gas is how much of it do you have to use to fulfill a transaction? So we want PulseChain to do a bazillion X. Well, okay, but the gas fees are going to go up a bazillion X with it, plus the congestion.
Here's a question for you, Big K, from High Ally. I said it right. 32. Why has GWEI been so high Ally lately?
Haven't you seen? It's shitcoin spring, man.
Ribbit.
There's shitcoinery all around. All you got to do is go to Etherscan and go look at the top 50 gas guzzlers, and most of them are swap protocols. Uniswap. I think Kyber's on there on the top 15 or so. It's mostly swap stuff. So that means that you've got people speculating a lot, and then if you see what's been running up like crazy recently, your frog tokens and your there's a whole bunch of goofy tokens that have been running up a bunch recently. So people have been spending spending gas on all that stuff. That's what it looks like, at least to me.
Yep. Just a funny sacrifice note, since we talked about sacrifices early in the show. I was just reading this comment and it cracked me up. So Vets in Crypto, he was like, at the time of the poor pleb sacrificed, I sacrificed one hedron only. And Hexy's like, LMAO, that was you. Oh my gosh. He's like, Matty Allen sacked 1/1,000,000th of a hex for it. So any other fun sacrifice tales out there? That's hilarious. But
That shit's great.
I think even the highest of stakes did one for like the lowest amount, right? So like you got featured in the credits if you were the absolutely lowest sacker or donator or whatever it was for that. So little known fact, but I'm curious to see who that person might be in the credits. Definitely not me. I'm not saying that, but curious. And I think that brings us to the end of all the questions. Finally, we made it. Awesome. Well, that was a jam-packed 2 hours. And yeah, like Tigray said, you're going to have to go back and watch if you want to learn pretty much anything and everything condensed about the PowerCity ecosystem. So thanks to Jesse for that. And thanks for Freddie for stopping by earlier. Let's go around the room and tell us where we can find y'all. Big K, where can we find you, sir? And any other things you would like to share before we go?
You can find me at Big K or Big Krakowski on Twitter and Telegram. You can find me. Go take a look at the highest of stakes.
When can we do that? I'm really looking forward to it.
Go watch the trailer for the millionth time. Soon-ish. I would love to say this quarter, but I can't, so I won't.
Well, we're already in Q2, and it was supposed to be okay. Let's go, Q2.
Let's go. Come on, let's fucking go. So no, that's where you can find me here too. That's about it. Oh, sometimes on Freddy's Steak and Bake too. I like to. That's it. I appreciate Jesse for coming by and answering a lot of questions and giving a very in-depth full walkthrough of everything that's going on with PowerCity. So appreciate it, man.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yep. Don't sleep on it, fam. Not financial advice, but just I'm saying, maybe take a look into it. Jesse, where can we find you?
Just find me in the Telegram, PowerCity IO. There's tons of people in there. If you look at Combat, like the message traffic, it looks similar to that sacrifice where it's just like, whoop, and it's like a straight up rocket ship as more and more messages keep flowing in. Everyone's excited in there. Everyone's having their questions answered, getting their walkthroughs. If they have trouble, right? If they're like, oh, this thing isn't working for me, they get their questions answered and they're, oh, okay, that's what was wrong. Like the community is just growing and it's awesome, right? Pile into the Telegram. We're easy to find on Twitter. Just type at PowerCity IO. That's where we are.
Boom. There you have it. So let's just get this PulseChain when mainnets are launched, and then we can actually talk about these things possibly being live soon. I mean, I guess that's a final question for you, Jesse, is like, how long would it take after a PulseChain launch that we perhaps could see some parts of that ecosystem live?
We're in audits now with a really, really good company. Not the standard that people pick, but like a really good company. And those should be wrapped up by the end of this month. So if PulseChain's out tomorrow, we're not launching. We have to have those things back. Safety first, okay? But as long as we have those things back, we could launch the core pretty early while our partners and us integrate PulseChain into PortalX, and then that might take a couple weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month at most to get that integrated, and then that thing starts feeding the core. our amplifier as soon as Earn Protocol launches, which also has a little bit of delay before we can launch that into PulseChain. You have to see PulseX stabilize a little bit. So we'll give that a month. I think Liquid Loans is also probably going to wait about a month.
Yep.
You'll see both launch at a similar time, and then you'll see Amplifier launch, and you can actually use that as a front end for both, if that's what you want to do. So I don't know, a month after launch.
There you go. And I guess one more that just came to my mind before we get out of here. Sacrifice. It's ongoing until PulseChain launch. There are, I guess, rumors of a countdown clock. Any more to share on that as that sacrifice finally comes to an end, hopefully sooner than later?
The door starts closing. So we realized that, okay, if Richard announces PulseChain and we just immediately shut down the website, that's also not fair necessarily. Now, don't sacrifice your pulse. It's not on the list. Okay. So just keep that in mind. It's not open because Pulse is acceptable. In fact, PulseChain, the bridges into PulseChain aren't even going to be live for the first, 2, 3, 4 days. Okay. So don't do it. It won't even have a price attached. It would get you 0. Okay. 0 points because there's no price. All right. So only use what's on the list. But that door, when PulseChain goes live, that door starts closing. Could be 2 hours, could be 2 days. You'll find out when PulseChain goes live. It may be a race to. Why wait? Look, if you're somebody who would like to sacrifice, and I'm not saying that anybody should or has to. There are bonus drawings that could happen between now and the end. Why would you want to be the last person where there's no potential for a bonus, from your wallet being picked? So I'll just throw that out there.
And is each wallet entered? It's not per sacrifice, it's per wallet. Is that correct?
Per wallet. What you've sacrificed up to that point in time. So if your wallet address is picked, all previous sacks, 30% bonus.
Woo. No, that's hot. Well, let's end on that, shall we? Goodness. All right. Well, we did the shill section. Huge UFC fight tomorrow night. Motley, I'm going to have to get your picks on that. And yeah, man. I mean, we're holding steady at 6.5 cents here on the hex price. Maybe when we come back next week, we'll have a mainnet. Who knows? But we're close. Soon when it's ready. Ready when it's soon. That's all we're saying about that. Thanks again to Freddie Quotes, Big Kurkowski, and Just Ask Jesse, and of course, Chat, who just kept the questions rolling and kept Jesse busy. You guys rock. And until then, cheers from this Cinco de Drinko. We will see you next week. Cheers, everybody.